A couple of weeks ago, I found myself re-listening to the Odd Future Tapes Volume 2. In my opinion, this is a very quintessential album for me because it shows the origin or the early careers of a lot of the people that I grew up listening to and that I still listen to now. It shows Tyler the Creator in his early edgy teen self before he became this very introspective and thought-provoking artist. It shows Earl Sweatshirt before he became an absolute pillar of the abstract hip-hop scene. And it shows Frank Ocean before he vanished off the face of the earth. Ever since I started making music content and started talking about this group of artists, a question I get far too often is, where is Frank Ocean? A man who released one of the greatest albums of all time, seemingly just stopping music a few years after. And without a real explanation as to why that is, it leaves the fans wondering and ultimately asking other people, what's going on? Leading me to become absolutely fascinated with the disappearance of artists, and which is why I want to talk about it in this video. I want to bring up artists who have disappeared or left music for various reasons. I want to talk about maybe why they've done that, and I also want to talk about the relationship that has with fans. The idea that a fan is owed someone's music. So let's talk about it. If you don't know, my name is Henry, I love music. This is where I talk about it. I'm not great at intros, so let's just go. I'm recording this on a Tuesday, but if you're watching right now, it's my birthday. I'm 20 years old, so you should tell me happy birthday. Or not, you don't have to, I'm sorry. Now, when I think about artists who have stopped making music, whether that is a short-term answer or a long-term answer, I always separate it into two different categories. Over here, you have a closed-ended disappearance, which is an artist who may be retired. Maybe they have vocally said they are stepping away from music and not releasing anything, providing a closed-ended, clear-cut answer on what is happening for the future. And then over here you have the open-ended disappearance, which is an artist who maybe hasn't really said what's going on. Maybe they are working on a new album, maybe they aren't. They have just left everything up to the fans' speculation. And right now we're gonna focus on the open-ended disappearances. Now, along with this idea of open-ended disappearances, I think it ranges in severity depending on what the artist is doing. And I think the artist who is doing it at the lowest level is Brakence. If you don't know, Brakence is one of the most popular, most well-established artists in the glitch pop, hyper pop. Is it even hyper pop? If you've watched this channel before, you know I'm bad with my genre names. He released his very critically successful album Hypochondriac in 2022 and has not released any solo music since. Now, the reason I say Brakence is at the lowest severity is because he hasn't stopped making music with other people, and he also is still online. He will still post on his social media platforms, but more specifically, he has been featured on other people's songs. His most recent feature was on the song A La Carte by Quedeca. So while he hasn't disappeared from music entirely, he hasn't dropped a solo project in a very long time, leading fans to speculate what he's going to drop, when he's going to drop, and how it's going to sound. But again, it is a very low severity, so let's jump up another level and talk about Joji. I shouldn't need to introduce Joji to you, but he is an edgy YouTuber turned pop and R&B star who saw crazy success in his music career. Dropping 4 albums in the span of 4 years, all being very, very successful, Joji was very established. After the release of his 2022 album Smithereens, he toured, I believe, for a whole year after, but since then he has been completely MIA. From what I know, he has been completely offline. There's been no music that has been released, no features that have been released. He is just gone, which is very unlike Joji from how we've seen him in the previous years of his career. Joji was someone who became very famous off of being very online, and so it was something he was very used to and something he used to his advantage in his career. But I mean, just like Brakence, we haven't seen a solo release from Joji in 3 years, and it leaves people to flood to his Instagram comments and ask him where he is like every single hour. And you might think I'm joking. Literally right before I recorded this video, I went to his comment section on his most recent Instagram post. It is full of people just asking where he is. It's just so sweet. They care about him. They love him so much. But of course, at the highest tier of disappearance, something that you will never be able to get away from when you talk about an artist not releasing music is, I don't even need to say his name. If your favorite artist hasn't released music recently and you talk about it online, there will always be at least one Frank Ocean fan in the comments complaining about how they have not gotten music in however many years. Frank Ocean, as I mentioned earlier, a man who dropped one of the greatest albums of all time and is now more well known for not dropping anything. Frank's last official release was in 2020, and since then, he has been essentially gone, like completely gone. Very similar to Joji, he hasn't made music on his own, he hasn't been featured on anyone else's songs. He is a little more online than Joji. He posts on his Instagram every now and then, but it's completely unrelated from anything music. That may lead you to ask, Henry, if Frank Ocean is more online than Joji, why is he more severe than Joji? And that is because the sheer influence and hysteria that Frank Ocean has caused his community by not releasing music. Every time Frank Ocean is spotted in public, every single pop culture news publication posts about it. Every time any news sliver of information comes out about him, it's all over the internet. And most importantly, in what I'm about to talk about, if there is even a chance that someone has found new Frank Ocean music, the whole internet goes insane. For example, a few months ago, a YouTube video was posted to the YouTube channel of Peyton Talbot, who is a UFC fighter. Peyton has been known to be a friend or potential partner for Frank Ocean, and after this video was posted, people could tell that there was a Frank Ocean sound in the background, but it wasn't one that had been released. There was unreleased Frank Ocean music in this video, and after not even being out for 5 minutes, it was all over TikTok. Edits were being made, people were already lip syncing to the song. People thought this was the start of a rollout. And even though it seems like that snippet has never really gone anywhere, people are still losing their minds over it. Another example I want to give is shortly after that, a private Instagram account was found called Kiki Boy. It was followed by SZA and I think one other person. The other person was also associated with Frank Ocean, and so immediately people thought they had found Frank Ocean's private Instagram account. It was never confirmed whether or not this account was Frank's. And after that, an image of a billboard started circulating at Coachella that said Kiki Boy 2025. Now, I'm 99% sure that billboard was AI generated. I kept seeing conflicting answers, but I had never seen anybody actually take a real picture of it, so I'm pretty sure it was fake. But again, people were going crazy. People were theorizing that his profile picture meant that he was coming out of retirement and that Kiki Boy was a new album. As all of these dead ends started showing up, people started to get really, really upset, which is a great segue to what I'm going to talk about next. I think Frank Ocean right now, and just in general, is a very great example of an artist's obligation to their fans. People go back and forth all the time about what an artist truly owes to their fans. Is a fan owed someone's music? Are they owed a tour? Are they owed an album? Are they owed anything? I think the state of music currently has cultured a society where the consumer or the fan feels like they are entitled to someone's music. Therefore, when they don't receive that music or they have to wait too long for that music, they get very, very angry. And I don't think that's a great way of thinking, with one exception. I think if you are promised a piece of music, an album, a single, whatever by an artist at a specific time, and it either gets scrapped, thrown away, pushed back without any real reason, I think that's a fair thing to feel, because you've been verbally told that you are going to be receiving this piece of music, and when you don't receive it without any explanation, obviously you're gonna feel angry. A great example of this is obviously Playboi Carti with his album Music. He took years to release it without any real reason why it kept getting delayed, and obviously people were always very, very upset about that. I feel like that's a completely separate situation from Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean has not verbally said, I have an album in the works. I have new music on the way. You are going to be receiving new music. Because of the nature of where he's at right now, he's left everything up to speculation. And so every album rollout, every album people think he's dropping is all speculation. It makes it so when these albums end up not being a thing or these rollouts end up turning loose, you can't get mad at Frank. You can be upset that it didn't turn out to be anything. You can be upset that the music hasn't released, but it's not something you can really get mad at him for. I think another thing this does is it makes consumers a lot more closed off to exploring new music. I said this in a TikTok months ago, but one of the things I hate about people who exclusively listen to mainstream artists is that they are just in a constant state of waiting for something new to come out rather than spending that time exploring and finding new music. My friend Kaylin put this really well in that video. Consumers should not feel entitled to someone else's art, but I agree finding new music is much more healthy than crying online waiting for new music. Wow, so poetic. What comes hand in hand in feeling entitled to someone else's art is sitting around waiting for it. And if all you're doing is waiting, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to find new artists that are in the same field of this artist that you're waiting for. I've listened to a ton of small artists that make music in that similar sphere, but they don't get popular and their audiences don't reach them because all they're doing is waiting for new Frank Ocean music. And it's frustrating sometimes because this is real talent that's just sitting over here waiting for their big break, but their audience is sitting waiting in front of someone who isn't even making music for you. Now in the end, I say all of this to get the point across that you can't sit around waiting for something that you feel entitled to when you're not entitled to it. If an artist steps away from music and they come back, that's great. If an artist steps away from music and they don't come back, that's not something you can get mad at them for. At the end of the day, people like Brakence, Joji, and Frank Ocean have already left astounding legacies in music. And if they never came back to release more music, those legacies would still be the same. I know for a fact there's a certain person releasing music right now that you guys wish retired and stepped away from music instead of just pumping out whatever he's doing now. So appreciate what's here. Don't feel entitled to something that's not. And go out and find new stuff. Boom, life advice with Henry. But anyways, that's about all I have for this video. It's not gonna be very long, I don't think, but it's just a topic that I'd always wanted to talk about, but one that I didn't really feel confident in until right now. If you've been a fan of the channel for a minute and you have seen what's going on, sorry that I haven't been uploading as frequently on here and on places like TikTok and stuff. I have been all over the place, both like physically and mentally. My lung is still healing and I have my final checkup for that tomorrow, so we'll see if I need surgery or not. And this is my finals week, so I've been spending ungodly hours studying. And if you're watching this, it's my birthday, so. A lot going on in my world, but don't worry, I don't plan on going anywhere. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. I will see you later. Goodbye.